Greetings one and all, this is Rhythm Works and welcome to my channel on the VR tip this time around. Don't think I've forgotten about it, just haven't played it for a little while. And the first game of the year, the first big game of the year is definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, arguably, is Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, which is dropping on January the 24th of this year. Brought to you by the legendary Capcom Studios. Now, they've got modest hopes for this game in comparison to the last Resident Evil game they churned out. I'm not talking about Umbrella Corps, come on man. I'm talking about the last Resident Evil game. They shifted 4 million at launch, and they're hoping to shift at least 4.2 million copies of this game when it drops. I have no problem and no doubts they're going to basically do that for a couple of reasons. But before I even go into that, I'm going to tell you about my foray into Resident Evil franchise. Now, it's a beloved franchise amongst a lot of people, but for me, it actually stopped at 3. It stopped at Resident Evil 3 for me. I remember actually playing Resident Evil 1 on my PS1 and hooking my TV up to my stereo. Them times surround sound wasn't available on the market, and if it was for like thousands and thousands of pounds. But I remember, you know, being a sound man, you just knew how to string up your stereo to your TV and yada 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 through whatever resources available. And I remember hooking it up with my stereo and playing the game at night, you know, to have the real immersive experience at that point in time. You know, for me, I couldn't play the game in daytime. I couldn't do it. You know, it just did not have the same effect, you know, because there was no fear factor, you know. But when you're playing it at night, especially with headphones on as well, and it's the dead of night, and any little creaking that you have in the house normally will be more effective when you're playing the game as well. Of course, it would add to the immersive experience of the game. So for me, that was a great experience playing 1, 2, and then kind of dropping off at 3. Now, fast forward into Resident Evil 7, the beginning hour teaser trailer. Now, I have to make a confession to you guys. When it first came out, I didn't really delve into it too tough, simply because there was just so many other games around. I just didn't really have the time for it. And additionally, I didn't really want to get into playing that because I didn't want my experience of Resident Evil 7 to be spoiled. But then Capcom basically stated that this has got nothing to do with the game. This won't be in the game. It will be a separate standalone from the game itself. And also, the last update that they had, which they mentioned, I think it was in PlayStation Experience, where they were saying it's going to be now VR compatible, gave me the reason to investigate it further. But I've got a confession to make. I put on the VR headset last night and I fired up this game, and as soon as the game started, I walked in the house and I was nearly shitting my pants already. No word of a lie. I have to say, there is vast differences between night and day for when you play on a 2D screen than when you play in VR. When you play this fucking thing in VR, there is no hiding whatsoever. I just wasn't prepared for it for a number of reasons, but the main reason was, for me personally, was that I hadn't played any VR games in a little while, and it was actually from playing Watch Dogs 2, Battlefield 1, and just being at a safe distance, if you like, to suddenly just putting on this headset and playing such an intense game like freaking Resident Evil, you know what I'm saying? And my heart was not ready for that shit at all. So I decided, nope, I'm going to play this bog standard, thank you very much. Now, you can call me a pussy, you can call me a wuss, you can call me a bitch, I'll accept that, you know what I mean? but I'm not going to be throwing up all over my freaking living room carpet to entertain you people. I ain't doing it. Not doing it. But anyway, that's my excuse. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But even though I played it on bog standard 2D screen on my console, it was still immersive. But I have to say, I can imagine what Resident Evil 7 Biohazard is going to be like when that game drops. And moving on to that, why I think the game is going to be a success, I've already just mentioned it. You have two options. You can play 2D or you can play in VR. And the VR experience with Resident Evil is going to surpass PT even. Do you know what I mean? Definitely. Without a doubt. You know what I mean? You know, people are talking about PT and saving PT in their library and what have you, and that's fine, that's fair enough, but PT is just going to be a walk in the park compared to freaking this in VR. I'm sorry. It's not even worth the freaking space for me to have that in my library anymore. But that's the reason why I think it's going to succeed, because you have two options of playing the game. Now, why I think it's going to be a victim of its own success is very simple. Once you play a horror game like this, or even Until Dawn, or what have you, anything that is VR compatible, there's no risk involved. It's just common sense. Once you start firing up a horror game and you experience the jump scares and all that, once you know where the jump scares are, that's it. The game is dead. But then you can get people to play it, you know, but there are some people that will point blank refuse to play a horror game, especially in VR. My missus does not like horror movies whatsoever. Do you know what I mean? If she hears something blood curdling, she doesn't even have to see it. If she hears it, she will feel sick. She will feel nauseous. So I know that if she puts on this thing and even play the kitchen demo, that'll be it. And that's all there is to it. Now, on the other end of the scale, my drummer, right? He's a fearless fucker. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, let me put on the thing. Yeah, let me chop up them blood clot duppy. Let me chop up them bomber clot zombies. That's what he's like. You know what I mean? Fearless. But when he was playing the freaking kitchen demo and the zombie stood up from behind the dude in the kitchen, he goes, funny to watch, man. It was just funny to watch. You know, I've never seen him cringe in that way. You know what I mean? Yeah, so I know this is gonna be a success. This game is gonna be a success, but it's gonna lose its spark after a while. And I think the only way that it can sustain its appeal, A, it's got to be a price drop, and B, there's got to be more inventive ways of bringing the horror genre to the masses in a VR style. You know, I don't know. I mean, I've seen games like Friday the 13th. I've seen games like that, and as a third-person game, it looks pretty exciting, I have to say. You know, even just playing it bog standard. But going back to VR, you know, they're going to have to think of ways to keeping people interested, inclined to the genre. Because once the jump scares are there and past and experienced, that's it. The game is more or less done. Do you know what I mean? And also, there's going to be a whole heap of YouTube videos up as well. So it's going to have a really, 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 really short shelf life. But anyway, I'll be getting it, no doubt, and I will be experiencing it on VR, and I will be equipped with an extra set of underpants. Thank you very much. Now, next up, something else that I was umming and ahhing about on VR for a considerable amount of time, and it was Pinball FX2 VR. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to take a punt with it because it was on sale. They had it on sale, I think it was around £8. and the add-on was another £15, and also the Walking Dead table was on sale for, I think it was £4.99. And the reason why I was umming and ahhing about it was simply because it's the same tables that Zen Studios have put out before on the PS4. And I'm thinking, well, if they're going to make a VR game of pinball, why can't they make new tables? And in asking the question, I completely missed the point. It is the experience of playing those same tables in VR, giving you a different perspective on playing those pinball tables. And I thought, okay, I'll give it a go. I'll just buy the bog standard 3 table setup and also the Walking Dead, which will cost me like £13, right? In total, if you buy everything, you get 10 tables for like 30 quid. So it works out around three quid a table, right? After playing a few of the tables, even the bog standard tables, I would have paid £15 for the Walking Dead table alone. Honestly, it's that good. And I know what some of you are thinking. You're looking at the video of the pinball table and thinking, nah. But like I've said, and I've always been saying before in relation to VR, it's very hard to convey what VR is from a 2D perspective. You have to strap one of these things on your head, man, to experience it. Whether you like it or you don't, you know what I'm saying? But all I can say is that after playing Pinball FX2 VR, I cannot go back to playing pinball in the conventional sense on a console. Again, I cannot. You know, I simply cannot. And it makes total sense as to why Zen Studios basically remastered it or rebooted it in a VR capacity for us to enjoy even more, because I've got quite a few of those tables in my library, but I don't really play them, because when you sit down and you're playing it on a console, the table is like freaking 6 feet away from you to begin with, but when you play in VR, it's right there. You know, you can have it, you can put it below you, you can put it just in front of you, because when you play pinball tables, you know, there's different ways of actually playing it. No shit, Sherlock alert, yes, I know, but you can tailor it to basically have the table right up to your chest, as a normal pinball table will feel when you play in an arcade. And Zen has nailed that shit. Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. So I would recommend Pinball FX2 VR. Buy all the tables. That's a strong recommendation. But if you're still on the fence, just buy the box standard set of 3 tables and see how you go with that. But I would highly recommend you getting the Walking Dead table as well. Absolutely boss. But anyway, that's all for me for now, and all I want to say is thank you for watching. Thanks for stopping by, and as always, you done know the coup. Whatever the game, media, platform, format, genre, happy gaming, because that's what it's truly about, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers and sisters. And until I catch you on the next one, stay blessed. Magan.
Welcome to the family, son.